to see all of you. Let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Unmute.
Yeah. So you guys
All right,
can,
I'm
you
mute.
can mute yourselves. You can go back to your blank screens now that we know who everyone is. And let me just get it set up on my end. Okay. They always are changing Zoom. There's all new rules and new ways of doing things. I just make sure everyone is all muted. It looks like you guys are. So welcome, good evening. It's great to see everyone. You've all been here with me a lot before, so I think you know the drill. I like to have us start on our backs. So if you're not there already, go ahead and start to transition into a pose where you are lying on your back, if that feels comfortable. I know I always say come to your back, and then I add in a little caveat that if that does not feel comfortable, then that doesn't have to be where you start. It's always the first thing in my mind, because to me, that's a comfortable position. But if that's not comfortable to you, I've seen people lie on their side. I've seen people sit up, maybe in an Indian style position. So always, always, always decide for yourself what feels good. So by now you are in whatever shape it is that you choose. You can start to let your eyes close if they're not already. And just start to let your breath slow down. That's really what this beginning is all about. This first few minutes or moments here on our mats, it's really about settling in, kind of letting go of the day and kind of the week. We're sort of at the end of the week, so this is a good time to sort of put down whatever it was you were doing this week. And also kind of let go of whatever it is you have coming up for the rest of the week. Just press that pause button for the next hour. Before we start to move a little bit, I invite you to think about your intention for your class tonight. And that intention can always be something that you focus on just for the next hour. It can be something that you focus on for the next week until we're back here on our mats together. It can also be something that you continually come back to week after week after week. Some people hold on to the same intention forever. Maybe it's just peace. Maybe you're trying to put some peace out into the world or draw some peace in towards your life, whatever feels right to you, let that be your intention. Now that you've had a few moments to sort of let go of the day, let go of everything really, and just sort of ground down, we're going to start to find a full body stretch. So if you're not on your back already, go ahead and start to make your way onto your back. If your knees were bent, you can start to straighten them. You can reach your arms overhead as you just stretch it out a little bit, move from side to side, roll out the ankles and the wrists, wiggle the fingers and the toes. I always associate this with kind of getting up for the second time today. So if you had an alarm this morning and it was loud and it was rushed and you had to jump out of bed, let this be your second chance to kind of do it slow, do it better. And then on the next breath, start to draw your knees in towards you, wrapping your arms around your shins as you give yourself a little hug. You can rock your knees from side to side. You can circle the knees. Whatever feels most comfortable to you, just beginning to gently move the body. Noticing that spine pressing down into the mat. And then we're going to place both feet on the mat. So your knees are bent, your feet are pressing into the mat. Extend your right leg and then just start to raise and lower the right leg. So I like to link my breath here. As I inhale, I lift the leg. As I exhale, I press it back down. The idea is that you're warming up through the back of the leg. Be pointing the toe as you lift it up and then flexing it as you press it back down. The next time the leg lifts, the hands can interlace behind the leg and start to draw the leg towards you, taking any movement that feels good. Sometimes it can feel good to sort of massage the muscles. If you notice your calf or your hamstring is a little tight, give it a little love. You can bend and straighten the knee, roll out the ankle. And then we're just going to gently place that right foot back on the mat, extend the left leg long, and same thing on this side. As you inhale, the left leg lifts. As you exhale, the left leg slowly releases back down towards the mat. Moving at a pace that feels good for you. So you're kind of linking the movement to the breath. You're kind of determining how fast you're going. Typically it's a little slower, but it doesn't have to be. If you're feeling like Feels good to move that leg really fast, and go ahead and do it. The next time the leg lifts up, start to draw the leg towards you by interlacing your hands behind the leg. Same thing as you did on the other side, massaging, bending at the knee, rolling the ankle, wiggling the toes, any kind of movement that feels good for that leg. Especially if you've been sitting a lot, it's going to feel really good to sort of let that leg move. And then gently placing the left foot back down on the mat next to the right, we'll draw both knees in towards us just so that we can start to rock up to a seated position with your hands behind your thighs. You can take that rock along your spine as you make your way all the way up to a seat with the legs crossed. This is another one of those poses that we come to often, but if it doesn't feel comfortable for you, you do have options. One option, I can demonstrate, you can grab a pillow and sort of just sit on the edge of the pillow so that your hips are a little bit elevated. You can also sit on your knees if that feels more comfortable. So wherever you are, you're going to sit up nice and tall, maybe rock from side to side a little bit as you ground down through the hips, lengthen through the spine. And as you make those adjustments, start to notice the upper body lifting, the spine getting longer, the top of the head reaching towards the sky. We're going to take a couple breaths here, a couple silent nostril breaths. I believe we've done them before. So you can just gently let your eyes close if you had opened them. We're going to close them one more time, bringing your right thumb to your right nostril. You're going to inhale and exhale 3 times through the left nostril. So you're blocking off the right side, only breathing through the left. As long, as full, as deep as you can, 3 times. Then once you complete those 3, that right ring finger closes off the left side, and then you do the same thing on the right. So 3 breaths through the left, 3 breaths through the right. If you haven't started already as I've been talking, you can go ahead and begin now, taking as much time as you need. So see how slow you can make it. Really inhaling as deeply as you can and then fully exhaling. Good. And I can't see anyone, so I don't know how long you need. Feel free to take as much time as you need to complete these breaths. Great way to sort of slow down, and you can do it anytime. We can't do yoga during the day necessarily. If you're in a public place, it might be weird, but doing these breaths are something that we can do, so it's a great tool. Once you've completed those 3 breaths, just start to roll the shoulders a little bit. Inhale as you draw the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale as you release them down the back. A couple more times just like that. And the idea here is that we're really getting into any tightness, any tension, any stiffness that might be stored in the neck and the upper back and shoulders, going in both directions. One more time, let's draw the shoulders all the way up towards the ears. Hold it for a second, create a little tension, create a little tightness. And then with a giant exhale, let it go. It should feel really good. And we'll do a couple neck rolls as well before we start to move a little more. So just a couple circles with the neck. The shoulders are relaxing down and back now. Just your neck is beginning to move. Maybe you even bring your hands to the shoulders or the neck and kind of give it a little massage, give it a little love. Side to side is always an option as well. And then gently beginning to make your way back through center once you feel even on both sides. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together, coming into a butterfly or our cobbler's pose with the fingertips interlaced around the toes. Take a breath in as the spine lengthens. Exhale as the upper body starts to fold forward. The elbows are pressing into the shins. I think I've suggested this before, but you can play around with how close the feet are to you. If you bring your feet really close towards the body, you're going to feel a stretch in the inner thighs a little more. It might be a little more difficult to lean forward. So that's one option. Or you can bring the feet really far away from you and feel it a little more in the outer thighs. On the next inhale, slowly start to lift all the way back up. The right leg is going to extend. The left foot comes into the right inner thigh. Turn so that you're facing that right leg with a flex in the bottom of the right foot, like you're trying to point the right toes towards you. On a big inhale, we'll reach the arms up overhead. On an exhale, you'll start to fold forward over that right leg, kind of like we did when we were on our backs. You have the same options here. If it feels good to bend the knee or massage the leg, go ahead and do whatever feels good for that leg. You might continue to move a little bit, or maybe you start to find some stillness with the hands resting on the shin or the mat or the toes. Taking that breath, creating some space in the back of the body as you inhale. And then as you exhale, folding just a little bit further forward. And then we're going to turn this into a little bit of a movement, another opportunity to link our breath to our movement. So as you inhale, the left arm is going to lift up and behind you. It's going to press the body up, and the right fingertips are going to reach behind you. So the idea is that you're creating one straight line with the right side of the body. And then as you exhale, you come right back into that fold over the leg. 2 more times with your breath. Inhale, big cartwheel up, press the hips up, lengthen the right side of the body, almost like a modified side plank. Exhale as you fold over that right leg. 1 more time, moving with your breath, so you don't have to follow me. Press yourself up, lengthen the right side of the body. And as you exhale, see if you can fold even deeper. Each time we come into it, we come a little further. On the next inhale, go ahead and lift up through the upper body. We're going to take the left foot, bring it to the outside of the right knee. You have 2 options here. You can stay right like this with that cross leg, or you can bend the right knee if it feels comfortable to the leg. It's a little more pretzel-y with that right leg bent, so you decide which feels best for you. Left hand comes to the mat, and as you inhale, the right arm lifts up. As you exhale, twist to the left. The right elbow is hooking on the outside of the left knee. We're twisting through the spine, looking towards the left shoulder. And breathing as you twist. So it's about a lot of things. It's about lengthening the spine each time you breathe in. It's about twisting each time you breathe out. And then as you come back through center, let's go in the opposite direction just for 1 breath, kind of wringing out the spine like a towel. And then as we come back through center, the left leg will extend long. Both legs extend long. You can kind of tap the backs of your legs on the mat if that feels good. And then we'll keep extending that left leg as you draw the right foot into the left inner thigh. The left toes flex. As you breathe in, the arms lift up. As you exhale, you fold over that left leg. And again, you're going to choose where you're going with this. You can have that knee bent. You can give it a little massage. Or you can just start to find stillness, breathing into the back of the body and folding. So I like to think about my breath creating space. Each time I inhale, sometimes it feels good to sit up a little bit. And then each time you exhale, fold just a little bit further. And that breath kind of gives you a little more space to move. And then let's start to create that moving meditation again. So this time as you inhale, the right arm is going to swing up and back. The hips press up and the left arm extends. So the whole left side of the body is getting long. As you exhale, fold over that left leg. 2 more times with your breath. Inhale, right arm down. Press up through the hips. Lengthen the left side of the body. Exhale as you fold. 1 last time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, fold. Good. The next time you inhale, you can come back up through seated, and we'll start to find that twist by taking the right foot to the outside of the left knee. Same option, you can bend that left knee, bringing the left foot near the right hip, or the left leg can stay straight. Right hand is at the side of the body, and as you inhale, the left arm lifts up. As you exhale, twist to the right. Left elbow hooks on the outside of the right knee. Take a breath in as you sit up a little taller. Exhale as you twist a little deeper, looking towards that right shoulder. And then as you begin to unravel, take it all the way over to the left side. Right elbow hooks on the right leg for just a breath. And back through center. 1 more time, the legs can extend, sort of tap the backs of the legs on the mat. And then let's find our tabletop position, coming onto our hands and knees. So the wrists are below the shoulders, the knees are below the hips. Your back can start out in a nice neutral spine. And then when you're ready, a couple rounds of your cat and cow. So the inhale takes the stomach down and the gaze goes up. The exhale rounds the back, presses the ground away from you. You can exaggerate it as much as you like. You can add on as much as you like. I always enjoy rocking my hips from side to side. My outer hips get tight, so kind of pressing them down feels good to me. Other people like to move their head a little bit. Child's pose. Doesn't matter. What matters is how it feels. I say that all the time, but it's that important. I'll say it again. And then as you start to make your way back through center, finding that neutral spine again, that flat back, we're going to extend the right leg, keep the right toes tucked on the mat, and you'll just gently press yourself forwards and backwards. So thinking about getting a stretch in the bottom of the foot. We're entering colder months where our feet are in shoes all the time if they were in flip-flops in the winter or in the summer, but now they're all enclosed in shoes. So it's good to massage the bottoms of the feet, give them a little attention, because it can be easy to just not really use them. They just go in their shoes and they just stay there. As you come back through center, let's lift the right foot, point the toes behind you. Think about making a parallel line with that right leg and the mat. On the next inhale, the right knee draws towards your nose. Give it a little kiss. Exhale, extend it long. 2 more times. Inhale, draw the knee towards the nose. Exhale, extend it long. Last time, knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. Let's take one more little side plank, kind of like we did before. So the left foot can sort of slide to the outer edge of your mat a little bit. That right foot is going to ground down, and the right fingertips are going to reach towards the top of the mat. So sort of the same shape as we were in before when we were doing that little flow. We're getting a nice long stretch on the right side of the body, pressing the right hips up towards the sky. And then you're just going to circle the right arm, getting into the shoulder here. As big as it feels comfortable. A couple circles one way, and then a couple circles back the other way. And then we'll slowly start to close it back off by bringing the right hand to the mat, the right knee down to the mat, extending the left leg long, keeping the left toes tucked to begin as you just press yourself forwards and backwards. So when you're going backwards, you're kind of pressing the heel behind you and then using the toes to sort of propel you forward, focusing on really stretching that bottom of that foot. Massaging it, whatever visual feels good, but think about giving that foot a little love. And then as you come back through center, the left leg lifts, toes point towards the back of the room. On the next inhale, that left knee draws towards the nose. The back rounds, kind of like that cat back. And then as you exhale, extend it long. 2 more times. Inhale, knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. 1 more time. Inhale, knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. Find that modified side plank, so slide the right toes off the mat a little bit. Left foot comes down, so the inner arch of the left foot is on the mat. Left fingertips start to reach towards the top of the mat. So you're creating that long line from the left arm to the left foot, pressing up through the hips, and then making that circular motion with the left arm. Couple circles in each direction. And then we'll start to close it back off by bringing the left hand down to the mat, the left knee down to the mat, and we'll find our first downward facing dog. So your toes are going to tuck, your knees will straighten, your hips press up and back as you start to settle into this downward facing dog, taking all those little movements and motions that you do so that you can start to feel a little more comfortable here. Because it doesn't matter how many times you've done this pose in your life. I've probably done it thousands of times, but every time I'm here, it feels different. And it's the same for you. So take the time now to just sort of settle yourself in. Maybe bending the knees, maybe rocking the hips from side to side, working on pressing the heels down towards the mat. And then slowly with control, we're just gonna roll it forward into a plank position. It's a little bit challenge here, using some core strength. And then the knees are going to come down onto the mat. From here, we're going to lower ourselves all the way down onto our stomach, keeping the elbows hugged in towards the body, all the way down onto your stomach. On the next inhale, little tiny lift into a baby cobra. So So the chest, the shoulders, the head are lifted, the fingertips are up off the mat, but everything else is still pressing down. And then from here, we're going to come back to our child's pose. So the hands can press into the mat, the hips lift up and back towards the heels. Your toes are together, your knees are a little bit apart. And we'll take 3 breaths here. So child's pose is a resting pose. I don't often bring us into it during class, but you are welcome to come into it anytime you need. Your fingertips can stay where they are towards the top of your mat. You can stack your hands on top of each other and rest your forehead on top of those hands. You can also bring your fingertips next to your toes. That takes some of the pressure off of the shoulders and upper back. Using this time to slow the breath, come back to that intention that you set. And then after one more breath, we'll start to make our way back to downward facing dog. So if your hands weren't at the top of the mat already, go ahead and reach them forward again. Tuck your toes back to downward facing dog as the hips press up and back. The backs of the legs begin to lengthen. And let's take that sequence one more time. On the next inhale, roll it out into your plank position, tucking the tailbone, drawing the belly button up towards the spine. Knees can come down, and then slowly with control, the rest of the body lowers all the way down onto the mat. Good. This time you have the option to take that same little baby cobra we did before, or if you want to press your hands into the mat, you can lift your upper body up just a little bit more. But as always, being mindful of your spine here. If this doesn't feel good for the back of the body, if you feel like you're forcing yourself into it just for the sake of getting there, you don't want to do that. You want to take it down a little bit more so that it feels good. And then this time we're going to go right back to our downward facing dog. So your hands can press into the mat, the toes tuck, the legs straighten, back to that downward facing dog. Taking your gaze towards your fingertips, we're going to take a couple steps forward so that you're in a forward fold at the top of your mat. Your feet are about hips width distance, so they're not right together. Give yourself a little more room to fold. And then take any forward fold that feels good. Bending the knees, moving from side to side, rocking the head back and forth, shaking it yes or no. Kind of imagining you're a rag doll here, letting yourself just kind of become heavy, become loose. You're not resisting, you're just sort of just hanging like a doll. And then on the next inhale, we'll slowly start to lift it all the way up, reaching the arms overhead. This is called Urdhva Hastasana in Sanskrit. And then as you exhale, your hands can come to the sides of your body. Good. So we're going to go ahead and walk the feet together. So your big toes are together now. On the next inhale, you're going to reach your arms back up overhead. As you exhale, sit back into your chair pose. So the shoulders are relaxed, the arms are lengthening, the weight is in your heels. So think about kind of pressing the weight towards the backs of your foot. Your toes could even be wiggling because you're not really on your toes here. 2 more breaths here. Good. On the next breath, go ahead and stretch it out, straighten the legs, reach the arms back up overhead, and we're going to take a funky little twist. You're going to take the left foot and cross it behind the right. So the goal is that your little pinky toes are touching, but they don't have to be. If that doesn't feel comfortable, just any sort of crisscross is great. We're going to fold forward here. So notice how different it feels folding forward with the legs crossed. You might find that you can't come as far as you did otherwise. That's okay. If you have anything at home, really, blocks or a chair or something that you like to rest your hands on, that can help you sort of release into this a little more. You can also rest your hands on your shins or just hold on to opposite elbows like we do in our traditional forward fold. Notice that you probably feel it in your outer hips a little more here. And then on the next inhale, just slowly lift up. Be mindful if you're wobbly because it is a little bit of a weird balance with our feet crossed. And then you can go ahead and uncross the feet. As you exhale, you're going to sit back into that chair pose, just like we were before. The weight is in the heels, the shoulders are relaxed, the arms are reaching up towards the sky. So think about creating a nice straight line through the spine. 2 more breaths. And then on the next breath, go ahead and straighten out the arms, reach up towards the sky, straighten through the legs. And then this time, the right foot is crossing behind the left, I believe. Now I'm second guessing. Yeah, I think the right foot is behind the left, but if you did the opposite, then do the opposite this time. And then same thing, as you exhale, fold forward, crisscrossing. And you might notice that one side is a lot tighter than the other. That's pretty typical depending on which leg is dominant, which one we use to drive our cars, and which one might have been injured at one point in your life, whatever things are different on either side makes it feel a little different from side to side. And then on the next inhale, we'll slowly lift it all the way back up, reach your arms overhead, again, unravel the feet. And let's interlace our hands, start to press your palms up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, lean to the left side. So we're stretching through the whole right side of the body. Roll that right shoulder open as you look under the right arm. On the next inhale, lift it all the way up. As you exhale, take it over to the opposite side. Roll that left shoulder back. The right shoulder presses forward a little bit to keep you in a little bit of a line rather than leaning forward. A lot of times we start to knee our chest towards the mat. Think about lifting your chest more up towards the sky. On the next inhale, go ahead and reach the arms back up overhead. As you exhale, big swan dive down, forward fold. Take a breath in to prepare. And then we're going to step the left foot to the back of the mat, coming to a low lunge. So the right foot is forward in between your hands. The left hand is going to stay down where it is. As you exhale, the right arm is going to peel up towards the sky, coming into a twist. Take your gaze towards that right hand. And then slowly bringing that right hand back down to the mat. Left knee comes down, untuck the left toes. And we're actually going to take our right hand and bring it to the inside of the right foot. And then you're just going to wiggle the right foot to the outer edge of your mat a little bit. So both hands are on the left side of your right foot. And we're going to roll to the outer edge of that right foot so that the right side is kind of pressing down to the mat. You're going to take your right hand and just gently press the knee away from you. The idea is that you're getting into this left hip. The left hip is sort of pressing down towards the mat, and you're twisting. So you can look towards that right knee as you press it away from you with your hand. Try to shift up my angle a little bit. So I'm kind of pressing my right knee away from me, pressing myself away from my right knee. Maybe looking behind you a little bit if that feels comfortable. Getting a nice twist through the spine. And then we'll slowly start to come out of that. So as you untwist, unravel, you can bring the right hand back to the outside of the foot and sort of slide the foot so that it's back at the center of your mat and not off to the side. As you exhale, let's straighten that right leg, press the hips behind you so you're folding over that right leg. And then on the next inhale, press the hips forward, start to lift up through the upper body. We're going to start to warm up for our crescent lunge, continuing to warm up through the hips a little bit. Take that movement forwards and backwards a few more times. The next time you come forward, we'll all come into our crescent lunge. So the hips are pressing down. Your hands can either come to that right knee or they reach up towards the sky. The shoulders relax as you gaze up towards your hands. And then slowly starting to bring your fingertips back down to the mat, framing out that right foot. We'll tuck the left toes, straighten that back leg. And then we're going to come back to a forward fold. So you can either take one giant step or a couple smaller steps to bring the left foot next to the right. Go ahead and bring your hands to your shins. Take a little halfway lift, flattening your back. Exhale, fold. On the next inhale, lift it all the way up. Arms come overhead, a little back bend if it feels comfortable. Exhale, hands to the sides of the body. On the next inhale, the arms reach right back up overhead. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Take a breath in, and then we're stepping the right foot back. So low lunge on the left side. The left foot stays forward, the right foot is back. The right hand grounds down. As you exhale, the left arm starts to peel up towards the sky. Take that gaze towards the left hand. And then slowly bringing that left hand back down to the mat. The right knee comes down, untuck the toes. And then that left hand is coming to the inside of the left foot as you start to wiggle that left foot out to the outer edge of the mat. So again, we're rolling to the outside of the left foot. Left hand is going to start to press the left knee away from us. Think about both your hips. So we're pressing the right hip down towards the mat, but we're twisting through the spine also. So you're getting a nice hip opener and a twist through the spine. So the left knee is getting pressed away from you. You're either looking towards that left knee or maybe the left shoulder. And you're breathing through all of it. And then slowly starting to unravel, the left hand can come back down to the mat. That left foot can start to wiggle back to the center of the mat as the left hand comes back to the outside. So you're framing out that foot again with both hands on either side. As you exhale, the left leg straightens, the hips press back, fold over that left leg. And we'll continue to move just like that. Inhale, press it forward, lifting up through the upper body. Exhale, press it back. Think about warming up through the back of the leg and the hips. Kind of doing it all here. The next time you come forward, Crescent Lunge, Anjaneyasana, whatever you like to call it. Hips press down, upper body starts to lift up. Hands can either stay right here on the knee or they reach up towards the sky. So notice how it doesn't change. If your hands are on your knee or your hands are up in the sky, hips are pressing down either way. That's what we're getting. If you notice that your hips are low when they're on your knees and then you try to reach up towards the sky and you start coming back, bring them back to your knees so you can go down a little further. And then we'll slowly start to bring the hands back to frame out that left foot. Tuck the right toes as you straighten that back leg. And then one giant step or a couple smaller steps, come back to that forward fold. Hands come to your shins as you inhale, flattening your back. As you exhale, fold. On the next inhale, lift it all the way up, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to the sides of the body. Good. We're going to come into our tree pose. So if you like to use a wall or a chair or something to help your balance, go ahead and grab those things, or even just stepping off your yoga mat can help if your yoga mat's really squishy. So we're going to find a nice firm foundation through the left foot. Your hands are coming to heart center, kind of pressing them towards each other gives you a little more stability. And then that right foot is coming to the left inner ankle. So you can actually keep your right toes on the mat. If that gives you a little more stability and that's helping you, go ahead and keep the right toes down. If you want a little more of a challenge, the right foot starts to lift up a little bit and it can either rest on that inner shin or the inner thigh. You just want to be mindful that it's above or below the knee. From here, your hands can decide where they're going. They can stay right here at heart center. You can take that little prayer pose overhead. You can open it up, make some sort of fun or funky shape, whatever brings you joy, whatever feels fun. Balancing poses should be fun. They're challenging, but they're fun and playful as well. You come out of it, just come right back into it. Give it another 2 or 3 breaths. And then see if you can come out of it as slowly and controlled as you came into it. You might be laughing and say it wasn't slow or controlled, but that's the idea. The hands are coming back to heart center. The right foot slowly slides back down to meet the left. And then you can kind of shake it out. Sometimes it feels good to lean forward, sort of stretch out the lower back, or maybe just kind of swing the arms from side to side. Whatever feels good for you, go ahead and do that. And then we'll transition over to the other side. So you're going to find a nice firm foundation with the right foot. The left toes come to the right inner ankle. Hands come to heart center. And then again, you're deciding where you're going with this. Maybe you have a wall next to that right shoulder to support you. Maybe you have a chair in front of you that you can reach out to if you need it. Maybe you start to walk that left foot up the leg a little bit. It could be in the same place as it was on the other side, or maybe the side is very different. Taking your time as you come into this, you don't need to rush into it. You know we're going to be here for a couple breaths. So taking your time and then coming into that full expression whenever you're ready. See if you can breathe a couple breaths. And that might mean you're moving for those breaths. That might mean you're tapping your foot down and lifting it back up. That's okay. See if you can balance for a couple breaths. And then just like before, as slowly and controlled as you can, the hands start to come back to heart center. The left foot starts to come back down to the mat. Shake out the arms, rock it out from side to side, or take that little forward fold if that feels good. Just sort of move through the hips. And then make your way back to the top of your mat. If you had stepped off your mat or towards a wall, go ahead and find your way back to the mat. We're going to take a giant step back with our left foot, setting up for a warrior one with the right leg at the top of the mat. So the left foot is at about a 45-degree angle. Your hips are pressing forward. So the right hip probably wants to be in front a little bit. See if you can shift your hips so that both hips are squared off. Take a breath in as you lift your arms up. As you exhale, bend into that right knee, pressing down to the outer edge of the left foot. Good. We're going to hold this for 5 breaths. So you're really going to focus on that alignment. You're going to see if you can bend a little deeper into that right knee. You're going to count your breaths. About 3 more. 2 more. 1 more breath. Let's open it right up into a warrior two. So the right arm comes forward, the left arm comes back. That left foot is now parallel to the back of your mat. So rather than 45 degrees, parallel to the back of your mat. Your hips are facing the left side of your mat. Your arms are parallel to the ground. You're looking over that front right middle finger. And we'll take about 3 breaths here since we've been holding this for a while. 3 more. 2 more. 1 more breath. And then go ahead and straighten that right leg. That should feel good. Turn the right toes to face the same direction as the left. So you're on the side of your mat now. Arms reach up overhead as you inhale. As you exhale, big wide-legged forward fold. Take it all the way down and just move it any way that feels good for you. And I always say that because it's going to be different for everyone. It could be bending your knees and kind of rocking from side to side. It could be walking your hands to one leg and then walking them to the other leg. It could be holding on to opposite elbows, kind of like we did earlier. And then slowly with control, we're going to gently begin to lift ourselves all the way back up. You can bring your hands to your thighs and just slowly press yourself all the way back up to standing. And we're just going to shift to the back of our mat and move through that same warrior one, warrior two sequence. So you're going to turn so that your left toes are facing the back of your mat, which is now the front of your mat. Your right foot is at a 45-degree angle. Your hips are squared off again. Take a breath in as you reach the arms up overhead. As you exhale, bend into that left knee, pressing down to the outer edge of the right foot. We're holding this for 5 more breaths. See if you can continue to come a little deeper. Just being mindful that that left knee is above the left ankle and not going way out in front of the left toes. 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. And then on 1, we'll open it up to warrior two. So the right arm comes behind us, the left arm comes in front of us. That right foot is parallel to the back of the mat, or what was the front of the mat. Your shoulders are relaxed as you're looking towards the left fingertips. 3 more breaths here in your warrior two. Feel that strength. You're using every muscle in your body. Your arms are engaged, your legs are engaged, your core is engaged because it's stabilizing you. This is a powerful pose. And you are powerful for being able to do it. Let's slowly straighten that left leg. Turn the left toes to face the side of the mat. And one more time, wide-legged forward fold. The arms reach up overhead as you inhale. As you exhale, dive it down. Same options as before, move in whatever way it feels good for you. Sometimes I like to walk my hands out in front of me or walk my hands behind me, like I'm trying to bring the top of my head towards the mat. And then again, slowly starting to bring your hands to your inner thighs as you gently, the tops of your thighs, as you press yourself all the way back up. And then you can just sort of wiggle your feet back together, shake it out a little bit, come back to face the screen if you're all turned around backwards. And then we are going to step it back to the top of the mat. Take a breath in as you reach the arms up overhead. As you exhale, dive it down, forward fold. And let's step it back to our downward facing dog. So go ahead and walk your feet back to the back of the mat. Settling in, we haven't been here in a little while, so notice how it feels this time around. You're a little more warmed up, but you might also be a little more tired. So notice how all of that has an impact on where you're at. We're just going to slowly bring the knees down to the mat, coming into our tabletop position one more time. We're going to extend the right leg, just like we did at the beginning. Point the right toes behind you. And this time we're going to add on a little bit. So the left arm is going to lift up. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Your belly button is sort of drawing up and in so that that core is stabilizing you. You're engaging your core. If this feels like a good balance and you want to just hang out here, you're going to stay here for about 3 more breaths. You want to add on, the right knee bends, point the toes. Think about pointing the toes towards your head. So they're probably more up towards the ceiling, but think about pointing it towards you. And then that left arm is going to start to reach back for the right foot. You might have the foot, or you might still be reaching for it. It does not matter. If you have the foot, grab the top of the foot and then start to press it away from you and you lift up through the upper body. If you are still reaching for it, that's fine. You're still getting that nice back bend because you're reaching the left arm back. If you don't have the foot and you have something at home like a strap or a tie or a rope or a belt, you can wrap that around the leg and actually hold on to it. Might not have time to go grab it now, but if you want to practice this another time, that's a nice way to use a prop. If you have the knee bent, go ahead and re-extend the arm and leg, and then slowly bring both back down to the mat. Kind of rock your hips out from side to side a little bit as we prepare to do that on the opposite side. So as you make your way back through center, the left leg lifts, point the toes behind you. Find your balance here before you start to lift the right arm, because anytime we start to lift arms and legs or hands and feet off the mat, we're balancing. So you're already balancing on one leg. Once you lift that right arm, now you're really balancing. So you decide if you're staying here or you want to try to take that little back bend. If so, the left knee is going to bend and you're going to start to reach the right arm back for the left foot. Pressing the left foot into the hand if you have it. And then slowly with control, go ahead and re-extend the arm and leg. And then bring both back down to the mat. Again, the hips can rock it out from side to side a little bit. And we're going to start to make our way into our pigeon pose. So I always like to give the option of coming into a pigeon from your tabletop position right here or from your downward facing dog. So it's really up to you which way feels more comfortable or more accessible. Since I'm on my hands and knees, I'll do it from here, but you're more than welcome to press up into a down dog if you'd like it that way. So we're going to start to draw the right knee behind the right wrist. You're going to start to extend the left leg long. You might need to slide the left leg back a little bit since we were on our knees. The left foot isn't as far behind you. Flexing through the right foot. You're going to rock from side to side on your hips a little bit, trying to evenly disperse your weight from both hips. Take a breath in as you lift up through the upper body, and then slowly start to lower the upper body down towards your mat. This is another great pose to bring props into. So if you have a pillow or a stack of blankets or a block or a book or something that you can rest your head on, and that's a great option. And you can also just stack your fists and sort of rest your forehead on the back of your fist so that you're not holding up your head, something so that you can rest your head on it. Another way to use a blanket or a pillow, if you feel like a lot of your weight is pouring to the right side and you're trying to a little more evenly disperse your weight, take a blanket or a pillow and slide it under your right hip. That's going to kind of shift the weight a little bit and then make it a little more even. About 3 more breaths here. We're going to slowly start to walk the hands back towards the body as you press the upper body up and coming back into that pose you started in. So for me, it's tabletop. If you're with me, it's tabletop for you too. Or if you're coming into your down dog in between, then go ahead and make your way into down dog. And we'll start to take it over onto the left side. So the left knee is going to start to slide behind the left wrist. Take your time to set yourself up here. So just like we did on the other side, the right foot starts to slide back. The top of the right foot is pressing into the mat. The left foot is flexed. You rock the hips from side to side a little bit. And then you're going to slowly lower the upper body down. So I had suggested pillow. If you're feeling like the weight is all on the left side, all you do is slide a blanket or a pillow under that left hip. It's going to make things a little more comfortable, a little more even. Just gives you a little bit of support on that side of the body. Maybe you take it down in steps. Maybe you hang out on your elbows for a couple breaths, and then eventually you lower a little bit further. All about letting go in this pose. That's why we hold on to it for a couple breaths, because it allows the body a chance to start to open up a little bit. If we were just quick in and quick out, we wouldn't have the time to breathe into it and get a little deeper. Slowly starting to walk the hands back towards the body as you press the upper body up. And we'll just find our way back to that tabletop position. If you were in a down dog, you can come into your tabletop from your down dog. And then we're all going to come into a seat with our legs extended long in front of us. So however you get there is fine. Extending those legs long in front of you, flexing through the toes. Sit up nice and tall on an inhale. A deep breath in. And then we're just going to start to lower it all the way down. So one vertebrae at a time, beginning to find a full body stretch, just like where we started. The arms reach overhead. The legs extend long. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, sigh it out. Big cleansing breath. Let it go. Release it all out through the mouth. Hands can come to the sides of the body as we start to set up for our bridge pose. So the knees bend, the feet come to the base of the spine, the hands are at the sides of the body. Take a breath in as you start to press the hips up towards the sky. So your hands can either continue to press into the mat, or you start to wiggle the shoulders under the body a little bit and interlace the hands under the tailbone. So totally up to you, whichever feels more comfortable. But wherever you are, think about keeping the legs really engaged. So they're not just soft, they're not just kind of floating there, they're active, they're pretty close to each other. You're kind of like you're making an 11 with your thighs. 3 more breaths as you continue to press the hips up, the chin tucking into the chest. And then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, you can peel the spine back down onto the mat. Once your tailbone touches your knees, you can gently rock from side to side, like little windshield wipers. And then beginning to draw the knees back in towards you, wrapping your arms around your shins as you give yourself a little hug. Option to circle the knees in a direction together, or you can circle them in opposite directions, so kind of taking one way, one the other way, or even just side to side if that feels good. A little massage for the lower back and a little movement for the hips. We'll begin to set up for our inversion. I always suggest extending your legs up a wall if that's an option and that feels good. But to do that, you would kind of sit with the side of your hip against the wall, and then you sort of just slide your feet up. It's kind of awkward to get there, but it feels good once you're there. There's no graceful way of doing it. So if you can't find a graceful way of doing it, you're in good company. But if you prefer to do it without the wall, then just start to reach your feet up towards the sky as if they were against a wall. Hands can either be behind the thighs, supporting your legs, or they can be under your hips, kind of taking some pressure off the lower back. And we're going to breathe here for about 7 to 10 breaths. The eyes can close if that feels comfortable. Focusing on your breath here. Teaching virtually is so interesting because I never know what anyone's doing. For all I know, you're all just sitting there. But so I always give you options because I don't know. So if you are against the wall and you want to keep your legs up against the wall, go ahead and stay there because that feels good to stay in that pose for a little longer. But if you have them lifted up into the air like I am, then you can go ahead and start to draw your knees back towards you. One more time, a little side to side rock. And then we're just going to let the knees release over to the right side. So coming into a twist, the shoulders pressing down towards the mat, the knees gently landing wherever they land. I'm not really forcing or controlling anything, just letting them release to the right. Your gaze can come to the left, or it can be up towards the ceiling if that feels better. The eyes can start to close, or you can just sort of let your vision become a little blurry, so you're not really focusing on anything. You don't have to close the eyes if that doesn't feel comfortable, but you can sort of let everything go out of focus. And on the next breath, the knees will slowly start to come back through center, and then we'll take it over to the left side. So letting the knees release to the left, right shoulder is pressing down towards the mat. Maybe the right ear is towards the mat, or maybe you're looking up towards the sky. You can bring a hand to the leg and sort of massage it if that hip or thigh feels a little tight still. Give it a little love. And then on the next breath, slowly starting to draw the knees back through center. Take a moment now to just do a little scan of your body. And I always like to suggest this before we end our practice, to see what it is that you still need. If there's any more stretches or poses or twists or whatever it is, if there's something that you still need, go ahead and offer it now. If you want to put on a sweater or grab a sip of water, do all of those things now. And then when you feel really good, start to make your way into your final pose of the evening. And just like when we started, that pose is up to you. If you're offering Shavasana on your back, you can go ahead and just extend your legs, hands on the stomach or at the sides of the body. You can also keep the knees bent. Sometimes it feels good to have the feet on the mat with your knees kind of leaning in towards each other. And turn over onto your side. You can come to a seated position. So once you feel like you've done all the little things that you need to do so that you can feel comfortable in your Shavasana, go ahead and start to allow yourself to make your way into that final pose of the evening. Start to let your breath return to its normal rhythm. Let yourself sort of sink into the mat as you let go put whatever it is you're holding on to down. Maybe notice how you're feeling now compared to when you first came to your mat. Back to that intention that you set. Just allow yourself to enjoy these final moments of stillness. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Gently bringing your awareness back to your body by wiggling your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles, taking any stretches that feel really good for you. So if your legs were straight, maybe you bend them. If they were bent, maybe you straighten them. You reach your arms over your head. You're lying down and it feels comfortable to turn over onto your side, you can do that now. The knees bent, resting your head on your arm in a fetal position. Taking this last moment here on your mat to just give yourself a big thank you, a big hug, big dose of gratitude for making the choice to continue coming to your mat, taking care of yourself. You're ready, you can slowly begin to make your way back up to a seated position if you're not there already. Your eyes can stay closed or you can close them once you sit up, bringing your hands to heart center. I am so grateful for you all for joining me tonight, for bringing your light and your energy with you and sharing it with all of us. I hope you have the most beautiful Thursday evening, the most beautiful weekend ahead. Until I see you all again, namaste.